It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, my name's Brian Engelman, and this is the Unhappy Hour on the TNAM network with TheNewAmericanMedia.com. Thank you for joining us. I have brought Zak Baris along with us today because today is one of those great days. Today is the beginning, and I tip my cup, I cheers you, I salute you. Cheers with whatever you're having. This is the beginning of the football season. Of course, yes, it is only the preseason, but it matters. We only have a second-year quarterback. We have a first-year head coach. A lot of things need to happen, but a lot fewer question marks than years in the past. But first, what I want to do is I want to offer you the opportunity in the Facebook groups, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show and Strictly Browns. They're two different private Facebook groups. Make sure you're in them or you've requested an ad if you're not currently in them. Type your questions and we'll try to get to some of them. Zach, I want to start with the big news today. The Cleveland Browns have traded disgruntled running back Duke Johnson to the Houston Texans. You want to break it down for us and kind of talk about what John Dorsey was able to do here?
Again, Dorsey was able to, you got a haul for Duke. Basically, it's a fourth-round pick, but if he's active for 10 games, it's a third-round pick, which he will be. He's been active for his entire career, all 16 games. I don't think there's going to be. I don't think there's going to be. It's going to be a huge loss. He was getting 3 to 8 touches a game on average with the Browns last season. And I think the Browns are really high on Dontrell Hilliard. I think that's why I think they waited for the right offer to come around. And I think this is why it happened when it did.
And, Duke Johnson, obviously, and I will say I was in the camp of people that over the past 2 years, I wanted to see Duke Johnson used more as a pass-catching weapon. If you think back to Eric Metcalf, especially when Metcalf went over to the Falcons, that little shifty running back that can make moves in open space, especially when the Browns were devoid of talent. It seemed like they would want to have used Duke Johnson a lot more than they did. But while Duke was active for a lot of games, he was injured for a lot of games. So his reliability on the field was always questionable. What do you make of what we got back? It's a fourth-round pick from the Texans that can turn into the third-round pick, obviously under those conditions that you mentioned. You think that's a fair haul? Do you think we did good? Do you think it's average? Do you think, it wasn't
I think
that
it's a very
good?
fair haul. I think it's a very fair haul. I thought it was a good trade. Again, you're not going to get a first-rounder for a guy like that, and he's a running back anyway. It's kind of disposable. But, he is a good player, but I do think the Browns made out well in the trade. I really do.
And that gives the Browns now, what was I seeing? It was 10 picks coming in the upcoming draft? Now, obviously, these aren't all first-round and second-round picks.
No, the extras are all in the 6th and 7th round,
But they do count for something. There is something you can do to package and move around. It lets you go up and reach on players to kind of sweeten the deal. I'll give you a 5th and a 6th. Oh, okay, fine. You can jump back into the 4th. Hey, there's a plan there. And you can get a lot of running backs in the later rounds. Third round is a really good time to get some of these players. There's not a lot of open positions on this Cleveland Browns team. Let's just get right into the fact that we're playing our first preseason game against the Redskins today. What positions are you looking out for in particular with this Cleveland Browns team?
For the preseason tonight?
Yeah, to start tonight. Which players do you want to see and what do you want to see them do? Obviously, I'll start off by saying a prayer to the God above, the Heavenly Father, the Creator, the universe, the Spirit, whatever you want to call the entity that is responsible for life on this planet and our recognition of being a part of it. I'm pulling for health for both teams. Obviously, the one thing we always want to see is health.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of. I don't think you're going to see a lot of the starters playing tonight. I don't think Odell's playing. I don't think Jarvis is playing. I think a lot of the starters are being held out of tonight's game, so I don't think you're going to see much. And the starters that are playing, you're probably going to see them in for a drive.
That might be the case. But it is easy to forget that Baker Mayfield is still a young quarterback. There were a lot of times last year that he did not look like a young quarterback at all. He looked like someone that really had a command of the offensive scheme, the offensive system, and somebody that really knew what was going on back there. it's always that double-edged sword in the preseason. You want them to kind of get sharp and get crisp on the routes, but you don't want to expose them to any potential liability for an injury. But one of the key positions, one of the key, it's not one position, but I'm talking about the 5 offensive linemen, the center, the 2 guards, and the 2 tackles. That is something that we're all kind of keeping a close eye on after making that trade with the Giants. Do you have any expectations of what you hope to see out of the linemen there, or anything that would give you...
Again, you don't see a heavy pass rush in the preseason, so it's hard to determine. You don't see teams blitzing. They're not going to show you the real stuff in the preseason. That's the problem. You want to put as little on film as possible. There's a reason why last year the Browns ran 4 straight passing plays at the goal line. Against the Eagles, they didn't want to. They didn't want to tip their hand. They didn't want to show anything, and that was why what happened. I don't think you get an accurate read of the preseason ever. You'll watch teams drive downfield, have an easy first drive, and they get to the regular season, the offense stalls, and they can't move the football. I think the preseason, you're seeing less and less starters play, especially after the Rams last year. So I think, Brian, you need to hold 1 second. One second.
Absolutely. I'll continue on here. This is a good opportunity to remind you, if you're not following us on Twitter, we're at @TheUnhappyHour_. And once again, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show.
Hello?
Yes. You're back?
Brian.
Welcome.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it was some Chinese scam call, so I didn't know if it was a work call.
I know. The cell phones these days, I used to answer calls, and now I've stopped doing it again. I go through phases where I don't answer anything, and then when I'm expecting calls and I don't know the number, then I answer everything, and I'm done with answering it again. It's so much spam on there. But anyway, I digress. You were saying that especially after the Rams did what they did last year, you think a lot of teams are moving away from playing their starters any significant minutes and really just giving it a chance for the fringe players to kind of break through and maybe work on some schemes and systems if there's new coaches involved. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the head coach, Freddie Kitchens. So obviously if you think that's what we should expect out of the team, not playing a lot of the starters, what do you want to see out of head coach Freddie Kitchens? He's never been this is a massive promotion for him. So is there anything in particular you're looking to see from him? It came out with all the Bob Wiley talk earlier this week.
I'm not worried about Freddie at all like some people are. I'm honestly, it doesn't worry me one bit.
Not one bit. Now, what gave you the confidence?
No.
Just the connection was it just the offensive production when he took over, the difference between what that was like, his relationship with Baker?
Yeah, I just really wasn't worried about anything when he took over. I had a lot of confidence, I had a lot of faith, and that's simple.
Okay. Well, look, I'm excited to get to the game. Getting something of value. Maybe it wasn't the best trade, but a 4th-round pick, we only got a 5th. We traded a lot of players away in the past.
It's probably going to be a 3rd-round pick.
I hope so.
It's conditional. It looks like it's probably going to be. It looks like it's probably going to be a 3rd.
And it's interesting because it's like you'll see certain teams wheeling and dealing with other teams. It's almost like if their front offices get along, whether it's the Brock Osweiler deal, buying the 2nd-round pick, and then trading now. Once you develop a good relationship with another front office, a management team in the NFL, you tend to go back dipping to that well again. But obviously Lamar Miller, they had space open up with what was it, Devontae Freeman? No, Foreman. Dante Foreman. There we go. Him getting cut. Did he land on a team yet? I heard he might go on the Colts. Did he actually sign there? I don't know if you happen to see it.
I didn't see if he did or not.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't either. But I follow it because in my Dynasty League I have Lamar Miller. So I'm kind of curious the fantasy impact of what this means. What are your thoughts on Nick Chubb having so much responsibility now going to be squarely on his shoulders for the first 8 games?
You're underestimating Dontre Hilliard. I really do.
Really? That high on Hilliard? Okay. So do we expect to see him play heavy minutes today as the backup?
You'll probably see him play heavier minutes, yes.
Okay. Well, look, I hope that's the case. I hope that we have an abundance of riches back there. And, of course, Kareem Hunt coming back in Week 8 or after his 8-week suspension. That's going to be enormous. All right. Well, look, this is the conclusion of the Browns Duke Johnson saga. Do you think we handled it well? Looking in the rearview mirror now that it's completed, do you think Duke put us in a really bad spot? Do you blame him for what he went through, getting his agent to kind of publicly push for a trade out of there? You're seeing more and more athletes do that today, whether it's NBA or NFL. Do you think that's changing how the athlete is determining their future, even if they have years left on their contract, across all sports? Do you think that's a new trend?
I do. I really do. I think everything's changing. I think the players have more power than they ever have, being able to demand a trade. You've always seen players be able to leave, to demand trades. If someone doesn't want to play, they're not going to play.
Right.
But,
But in a lot of years past, it's kind of been an empty threat, a thinly veiled threat. But, when Le'Veon sits out an entire season, when Kyrie gets out of Cleveland with multiple years left on his deal, having gone to the NBA Finals the year before, you're seeing it a different way. Okay, well, let's go to the scatter shot round here. We got a couple of minutes left, and I'll let you get back to your day. Thanks for joining us. You can follow Zak on Twitter. He's at Zak Baris, by the way, ZBARIS. Talking about agents and players and pushing their way for trades, let's bounce over to basketball for a second, because this whole Rich Paul rule is very interesting. I know it's an area you spend a lot of time in. I'm not sure if you followed the story and kind of what's going on there, but I want to get your thoughts on it with Rich Paul and the new restrictions.
I think the rule's crazy to take preventative measures to get players from leaving. I just think it's ridiculous.
Can you break down in what regard, like what part of it is specifically ridiculous? Because they're talking about how Rich Paul,
The college graduate rule, it's just the whole thing is ridiculous. It really is.
So how do you see it shaking out? Is this like the last grasp of an NCAA that used to be able to control a lot, and we're talking billions of dollars?
I do. I think they're losing control. I really do.
And
when you have the top recruit in the country next year is going to be interning at New Balance, something's happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you think it's going to be good for the sport in general? Will it be good for college basketball? Will it be good for international basketball or professional basketball? For the fan, for the consumer, for the mid-market cities? Is this good?
I'm not really sure. I really don't know what it's going to turn into.
Yeah, I think a lot of us don't. But, there's a growing movement to get, what is it? What's the football game, the college football game we all used to love, NCAA?
NCAA?
Yeah, I love that game. And it's like, why not just pay the players a little bit? You're using their likeness. You're selling the game off of them. I
totally agree.
If you're a Division I athlete, you are a professional athlete. You're not a student. You're generating billions of dollars for the NCAA.
The problem is you can't just pay a player. Because you're going to have the schools like Alabama, and then it's going to get into salary cap issues. It's just, the whole thing's crazy. You have to just be able to. Players need to be able to make money on their likeness. It's that simple. And you need to cap it at a certain point. So if you're making jersey sales at the team shop or the student union, the kids should be able to profit off those jerseys. There's no doubt about it in my mind. They should be able to. Should they be able to sign an autograph section? Yes. The problem is regulating it, though, and how much they can take in. That's where the real issue lies. It's not about the schools paying the players. It's about getting paid for their likeness. So is Nike able to compensate Dwayne Haskins in college for selling his jersey?
Right.
And players should be able to sell their pants if they want to, without having, or trade it for a tattoo without being suspended by the NCAA. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the way they did Ohio State and Terrell Pryor and Jim Tressel, the way that all went down, it was like they were selling their own. They were trading some things that they possessed. They were their belongings for a tattoo. Like I've seen way more egregious acts happening, between the lines in professional and collegiate sports for sure. I certainly lost no sleep over that, but it was really bad how he was pushed out. And I understand the technicality.
Yeah.
I understand the technicalities of it to a certain degree. I got it. But yeah, hopefully, much like in Ballers with The Rock, the last season I was watching, it was all about they were taking on the NCAA. And I think it might end up coming down, and it might totally change collegiate sports forever. We might never see an era like we grew up in ever again, because there's so much big money involved. Okay, well, look, we can talk more about the NBA later. I just want to get your thoughts on some of those things really quick. Final question, Zach. The Indians are starting a really important series against the Twins. They were, 13 games out of first place not too long ago?
11 and a half at one point.
11 and a half. And we're sitting here 2 games back, currently a playoff team if the playoffs start today, owning the number 1 wild card spot. Obviously, I don't want the wild card. I want to win the division. What are your thoughts on the season so far? I mean, they obviously traded Bauer. I didn't get your thoughts on that yet, did I?
I think it's hilarious. This team struggled so badly through the first couple months of the season. You wondered if they were even good enough to get a wild card position.
Right.
Then you look, and the Indians have been so fortunate with guys like Plesac, Beaver, just with the young guys in the rotation being able to take over, where they just didn't. And Bauer wasn't performing that well. He was decent. He wasn't great. I mean, his ERA is at 3.8. He was giving up. And the problem was when Bauer was imploding, he was really imploding. It was basically all or nothing from Bauer. You weren't just getting a solid start. Like last year's Bauer, I wouldn't have traded for anything. He was incredible. This year's Bauer, it's not the same Bauer.
Well, he did say that he was pitching injured, and he was pitching injured partially because there were so many other injuries to the staff. I don't know to what degree I buy that.
The Indians had no offense most of the year, and now you're seeing, here's another difference too. Not only did you have Puig and Franmil Reyes, you basically added a healthy Jason Kipnis who's raking, and same with Jose Ramirez. You're looking at 2 guys who had OPSs in the low 600, high 5s, low 6s, all the way until mid-June, late June. And then all of a sudden, both of them have been raking. Ramirez's OPS is now around 750, and Kipnis is around 730-something. I mean, these guys have been raking. They're both playing at above all-star levels now. Ramirez is playing closer to an MVP level, and Kipnis is playing at an all-star level right now. So you do that with Puig and adding Franmil Reyes. Reyes hasn't been hitting so far, but I'm sure he will. Your lineup is suddenly taking a turn for the best, and you have no offensive holes anymore.
Yeah, that whole lineup looks way different down to 9. Seeing Roberto Perez putting up decent numbers, and it's so interesting watching Yan Gomes struggle and watching Lucroy, remember who famously vetoed that trade to the Indians. Watching their careers go down the drain essentially. We've seen it before. We've seen Andrew Miller peak with the Indians, and we traded him at the right time. We've seen
We didn't trade Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller walked as a free agent, by the way.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, we decided not to re-sign him after probably overpitching him in 2016 because of injuries. But
17 he was overpitched, and 18 he was unhealthy.
Who am I thinking of that went to the Angels and just got cut? Our former closer.
Cody Allen.
Thank you. I was combining him with someone else. So Cody Allen too, and we're seeing a different Indians team. I mean, Terry Francona is one of the best coaches out there in baseball. He's one of the best skippers, and we do have one of the best front offices. Finding a way to compete and stay competitive consistently year after year, decade after decade. It really is important to go support that team. Obviously this is a Browns town, and it always will be, but Cleveland's just a better city when the Indians are competitive and geared up for a playoff run for sure. But
yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, well, they're taking on the Twins, and that's going to start, shortly here. We'll have the Browns and the Twins and all this stuff happening. It's going to be a very exciting week. Yeah, man. I don't even know what else to say. I want to keep it quick today. Did you have any other final thoughts on anything in the world of sports that was going on that we didn't have a chance to address? But by the way, let me just ask you the final question, unless you have something else. What would you grade our trade of Trevor Bauer? Obviously getting Puig and Reyes and some other pieces back.
I thought it was an A when it happened. I think the Indians are a better team now for it. I don't think they really missed Bauer in the rotation. And the problem is, could you rely on Trevor Bauer in a one-game start in the wild card this season? And the answer is no.
It's not the Trevor Bauer from last year. That was a different Trevor Bauer.
No.
And, I love Trevor, and I hated to see him go. I think he's a mad genius, and I don't think he's peaked yet.
Exactly the point.
I don't think he's peaked yet. I think we traded one head case in Bauer for another head case in Puig. But, time is going to tell on this. Puig, just having Puig, he takes aggressive smashes at the ball. I think some of that is contagious. I think some of that does spread to the rest of the team. And now you just kind of have a Cleveland Indians squad that seems like they could become big boppers. They could put a lot of runs on the board. Obviously, we've lost some 1-0 games even since the trade, so nothing's perfect. But that's why you play 162. You don't just do this 16 weeks out of the year and you call it a day and move to the playoffs. It's 10 times longer for the regular season. So, yeah, we'll just watch and see. I don't think Bauer has peaked. I wish him the best. I think he's hilarious and interesting, but I definitely did get concerned when I watched him getting so involved in social media and all the other avenues on Facebook with his sit-down shows. It just seemed like his focus left the baseball diamond just a little bit, and I think it did negatively impact him on the field. But I do wish him well, and I wish the Tribe great success against the Twins. And once again, rooting for health in the preseason game, and good luck, best of luck to Freddie Kitchens and the rest of the Cleveland Browns staff. Zach, I appreciate your time as always. Any final words out the door?
Nope. I think that's all. I'm going to the game tonight, so it should be a fun time.
Are you gonna post a picture in the Unhappy Hour for us?
I might. Well, I don't check Facebook that often, but
consider it a special request in case you should feel so inspired. We're asking everybody to post their pictures. One of the guys I played football with, he's a photographer for the Cleveland Browns on the field. He can't post game day footage on social media, but yeah, my friend Brian's down there on the field taking pictures professionally for him, which is cool. But yeah, if you remember, post some pictures. Great to live vicariously through that. And just another reminder, we are going to the Cleveland Browns home opener, and we're going to be having a tailgate session. I believe it's called the North Lot or the Purple Lot. I'll have to double check on the specifics, but we are going to be there for opening day, and the day before we're meeting up in Brunswick for a golf outing. Zach, I haven't had a chance to tell you about that, but we are doing that. So if you want to meet up on game day or the day before and hit the links, those things are both happening as well.
I'll be out there, so let me know.
Heck yeah, to be continued. All right, I appreciate your time, Zach. Go Browns.
All right, take care.
Take care. Peace. There he goes, everyone. Zak Baris. Follow him on Twitter. He's at ZBaris. Yeah, just super amped. It's another season, another chance to turn around the franchise. I really, really, really appreciate what John Dorsey in the front office has been able to do in such a short amount of time. We are a completely different team, and I couldn't be much happier than I currently am about that. So do all the things. Instagram.com/TheUnhappyHour. We're coming out with a set of collector's pins. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Finalizing, we've had a few revisions, and I think we're ready to place our order. The first run is going to be the only run of the first batch. I think we're probably going to retire that logo, that version of the pin at that point, but I'll give you more details to come. Follow us on Facebook in a private group, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group, and the other one is called Strictly Browns, powered by The Unhappy Hour. All right, so signing out. For the New American Media and the Unhappy Hour, my name is Brian Engelman. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk again soon. Take care. Peace.
It's the Unhappy Hour.